Hey everybody, welcome back to an episode of the 3 Count. I'm War Machine MJ, and I'm here today to talk about Smackdown from May 29th. Alright, the May 29th edition of Smackdown, where we kicked off the show with a car incident. Yes, Elias had gotten run over. Like, this was all work, so there's nothing shoot going on here. It's all work. It was outside the Performance Center. Renee Young was reporting it. There was cops, or there was an EMT, and then there was Elias just laying there. There was a car just kind of chilling on top of a divider. Of course, the cop opens up. There's conveniently a bottle of booze, and then he conveniently finds the license agreement. It's like, this car belongs to Jeff Hardy. Anybody know what Jeff Hardy? Then they cut away to eyewitness Braun Strowman, which that was his only appearance in this whole episode, was him playing panic bystander. And his exact words were, I had just gotten out of my car, and I heard a crash, and then I saw somebody dressed in all black start running that way. I just hope they find that crazy SOB. I'll nitpick on that in a second. Then the cops, of course, accompanied by Jamie Noble and Jason Jordan, nice to see him on TV, went past a trailer and past a couple of buildings on the facility to find somebody passed out or knocked out in the bushes. Turned out it's Jeff Hardy, and he was like, my head hurts, head hurts. One of the cops remarks he smells like booze. And they ask, have you been drinking? Jeff's like, no, I hadn't been drinking. And so they handcuff him. It's like, well, we got to take you downtown and ask you a few questions. They're taking him to the cop car, and Jeff looks over, and they see they've got Elias strapped to a gurney, about to put him in the ambulance, and Jeff Hardy's just kind of yelling at Elias, just like, Elias, just kind of those distressed yelling, like, what the fuck happened? Then they load Jeff Hardy into a car. Jamie Noble told him, is like, okay, everything's alright, I'm going to ride down to the station with you, find out what's going on. Then for a brief second, he tells Jeff Hardy no, like he was a cat doing something. He's like, no, don't do that, Jeff. Stop it, Jeff. So they roll off. But Braun Strowman's acting in that crap, alright? He's supposed to be the guy. That's supposed to be his locker room. If I were in his shoes, it wouldn't be, oh man, I hope they catch that guy. It's like, he better be lucky that I don't catch him, because I'm about to rip his head off for endangering one of my coworkers. That'd anger me. Somebody just tried to take out one of my coworkers. Let me redact that. Somebody tried to take out a coworker that I actually give a damn about. Because, some of those coworkers don't give a shit about them. I mean, you don't want anything bad to happen with them, but it's just like on a day-by-day basis, I don't give a fuck. So yeah, immediately after this whole spectacle, there was a backstage segment with all of the men's locker room, just a handful of guys, and Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce is, of course, trying to get a hold on the situation as regards to the Intercontinental Tourney match. Of course, Jeff Hardy and Elias won their match. They were going to face AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, respectively. So, Adam Pearce is trying to collaborate with the rest of the locker room, trying to figure out what to do. AJ's just like, well, you know what? My opponent's not here. straight to the finals. Because come on, Daniel Bryan, do the same. That's the match I want to see. I mean, he's not wrong. That's the match we do want to see. Of course, Daniel Bryan is just, no, got to do things the right way. I want to face an opponent. You know, I'm not going to be a coward like you. And then the peanut gallery starts piping up as Corbin and Sheamus are arguing that they want, they want a match back in the tournament. One of the Usos, I can't remember who it is, stepped up. He's like, my brother, he's injured, but here I am, still holding it down. I want in. Dolph Ziggler interrupts, basically saying, Jimmy, Jay, I can't keep up with whoever, but you guys seem to forget that I'm a former multi-time Intercontinental Champion. Then Shorty G pipes up. He's just like, well, yeah, nobody forgot that. They're too busy with the fact that you're a jackass. And then Adam Pearce, finally just puts it all together. He's like, AJ, you want to buy? Good, you got it. Daniel Bryan, you want an opponent? Good, you got it. Everybody else, you're going to be in a battle royal. Winner faces Daniel Bryan. Get to the ring. And of course, the battle royal had Grand Metalik, Lince Dorado of the Lucha House Party, Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, Baron Corbin, Sheamus, Dolph Ziggler, Shorty G. I'm trying to think. Am I missing anybody? I feel like it's more heel heavy than face heavy. Yeah. Either way, it's a big scramble. Down the stretch, Cesaro gets eliminated by Shorty G, and then Shorty G eliminates Shinsuke Nakamura, while the referees were busy telling Shinsuke what happened and ushering him into the back. Cesaro, with that clean-ass execution of this whole thing, slides into the ring, throws Chad Gable over the rope, and when the camera cuts, starts to dip back into the ring, Cesaro's already out of the ring, just smooth as fuck. In, throw, out. And then finally down the stretch, came down to Jey Uso and Sheamus. And Sheamus eliminated Jey Uso. Well, I went by the notes. It says Jey, so I still can't keep up with who's who. Anyway, it was Sheamus taking on Daniel Bryan in the main event. Next, we had a promo from Sonya Deville, basically taking more shots at Mandy Rose, basically saying, when I'm done with Lacey Evans, I'll show you that you guys are nothing more than pretty blondes. Of course, Lacey Evans snuck into the promo behind Sonya Deville and just kind of shoved her and just be like, I'll meet you in the ring. This was a fairly competitive match. Of course, towards the start of the match, there was a spot where Lacey Evans just basically said, well, you know what? I'm a former amateur wrestling champion, so you know what? I'll let you have this one. And, she gets in the position for collegiate wrestling or high school wrestling, whichever one. And it's basically jockeying for a position, which Lacey Evans eventually wins. And she's like, yeah, not bad for a former wrestler. No, she went, yeah, not bad for a blonde, But this match ended in a double countout as both ladies just wouldn't stop beating the crap out of each other despite giving a 10 count. Lacey Evans then threw Sonya Deville into the corner of the announce table, climbed back in the ring, and dared Sonya Deville to step into the ring. Deville declined and said they'll fight again, but on her terms. Next, and once again, up rocks killed it with this note. Got another promo from Forgotten Sons where they introduced the dynamic of the three men. We'll get to that in a second. But the note that Uproxx has, the Forgotten Sons still want to kill you for not loving the troops enough. Bang up, that is awesome. But yeah, the dynamic of all three of them is Steve Cutler and Jackson Riker were both military men. Forgot what branch they were in. And Wesley Blake is just the guy that appreciates their service. That's it. Next, we had a moment of bliss with the women's tag team champions, Bliss and Nikki Cross. Of course, it was a tag team summit, as their guests were the New Day. Of course, both sides had gifts for each other. Nikki Cross gave Big E and Kofi some Scottish pancakes, which they look delicious AF. I would eat the out of those. And then New Day, with the best present, tried to give Alexa Bliss some homemade coffee. Emphasis on the homemade, because Big E pulled a bunch of beans out of his singlet, just started pouring them in a mug. Kofi produced some water, poured it in there, and Big E took out a giant wooden spoon and started stirring it with the handle. And then handed the mug to Alexa. Of course, Kofi and Big E are just like, go on, try it, try it, try it, try it. Alexa Bliss, perfect with this follow through. She's just like, she had this look of pure disgust, pure like, how am I supposed to get out of this situation where everybody's smiling? She starts to take a sip, then she goes back to questioning the New Day, and it's just really smooth. Of course, she hands the mug to Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross is standing there for like 5 minutes, figuring out how to get back in her chair with the mug in hand. But the question was, what tag team has impressed you? And the New Day were like the Forgotten Sons. They basically stood out in the Fatal 4-Way tag team match at Money in the Bank, which, yeah, fantastic. That was a good match. But yeah, of course, that whole summit was interrupted by Bayley and Sasha Banks. Of course, they were making their presence known as not only the best women's tag team, but the inaugural women's tag team champions. And so the meat and potatoes of this is Bayley talked Sasha into another match again. Even though Sasha was in some high heels. So yeah, Bayley runs off because she's like, don't worry, I'll get you some shoes. Hold it down, I'll be right back. Cut to commercial, come back, we have this match between Bliss and Sasha Banks. Now, one thing to note about, or two things to note about this whole segment is while Big E and Kofi were in the tag team, were in the Moment of Bliss segment, they were wearing black armbands that said Shad, of course, paying homage to their friend Shad Gaspard, which they actually talked about him on last week's edition of The New Day Feel the Power. At the end of the episode, they talked about him, and it was just really nice, really sweet. They just shared some laughs. Of course, they talked about that video of Shad and MVP just hugging each other, crying after Kofi had won the WWE Championship. It's just such a nice moment. And then during this Sasha Bliss match, Sasha had a black armband of her own, of course paying homage to Hana Kimura. and she was busting out some of Hana Kimura's moves, which was just really nice. The other thing to note about this, and this is less heartfelt and more just pure enjoyment, pure entertainment. Nikki Cross was a bundle of energy in this because while the match was going on, Bailey and Nikki Cross were on commentary for this whole thing, and it was hilarious. Nikki Cross was all over the place, threatening to beat up Bailey, cheering on Blissy Baby, and yeah, there was even a moment where Bailey just starts talking shit about Michael Cole, and Nikki Cross is defending Michael Cole, just kind of, just kind of hugging his head and just stroking his hair while he's trying not to break, and Corey Graves just kind of pulls his head down because he's trying not to break either. It's just a fun, enjoyable thing from this. But the finish to the match saw Bailey cause a distraction on the outside, allowing Sasha to get a roll up victory. Next, we had a backstage segment where Shorty G confronts Cesaro and Nakamura. Of course, Cesaro then made short jokes at Shorty G, which weren't, specifically punctuated. They were just kind of like offhanded. And Shorty G had had enough. He had slapped the taste out of Cesaro's mouth and just be like, I'll see you in the ring. Of course, that led to this match. Amazing match. These two are just top of their game. But Shorty G got the victory over Cesaro with a sunset powerbomb. Next, we had Mandy Rose and Otis, on their day off. Of course, they were hanging out at the pool. They had some snacks and some wine. Then Otis is like, well, I'm going to hop in the pool. And Mandy's like, well, I'm just going to take a little nap. And then, of course, Mandy Rose's whole dream sequence is, I haven't seen the movie, but apparently it was a reference to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Basically, she's dreaming about Otis at the pool and how he's, and this wasn't, oh yeah, Mr. out there. Not going to be too mean, just like the eccentric guy. There we go. Instead of Mr. Eccentric, it's just Mr. Cool, Mr. Smooth AF. And then Mandy sees herself just making out with Otis, and it's all gratuitous and hot. And then she's woken up because she hears Otis just yelling "Cannonball," and that was that. It was a nice little thing, just like outside the box kind of deal. It was great. Next, we had Kurt Angle in his like deer in the headlights face, just I'm back here on SmackDown. Yeah, basically he was hyping up SmackDown's newest arrival, bro. Matt Riddle is SmackDown. Wonder if he's gonna name one of his moves the Bro Down. Bro. But yeah, he'll be coming to SmackDown. And finally, we get to our main event as Daniel Bryan takes on the winner of the Battle Royal at the top of the night. Sheamus. to determine AJ Styles' opponent for the finals of the championship tourney. Yeah, my brain is just fart city right now. Anyway, uh, yeah, this was an all right match. Down the stretch, however, Matt Hardy made his return to anyway made his return to the Performance Center. Commentary cleared it up, saying he had passed sobriety test. He was kosher. He had he had returned. Sheamus was distracted by that, and he ate a knee plus from Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan then pinned Sheamus, and he will go on to face AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship. And and apparently that match has already been recorded, and everybody says it is amazing. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, okay. Because I was going to use my favorite line from Excalibur since he's been on AEW. Unbelievable. Love that line. Anyway, that is the May 29th edition of Smackdown. So, with that being said, if you haven't done it already, go check out Rod's podcast, Prime Talk with Rodimus Prime, on the Castbox app. Go check it out. He talks about everything sports related. He talks about football, basketball, baseball, hockey, wrestling. He doesn't talk NASCAR, though. I'm surprised Mainstream hasn't started his own NASCAR podcast. Anyway, that being said, I'm War Machine MJ. I will see you guys next time. Ba-bang.